Good morning. This is Dr. Woodson. I guess we're all feeling the effects of this pandemic socio-political screw-up done by a president who claims to be so intelligent and dwindled his administration down to a shoestring to where we don't have basic social umbrella in place. And now these so-called cleaning the swamp has cleaned the swamp to the point where he's unprepared to deal with the pandemic. What I want us to believe is that we don't have to panic. Sometimes when you're intuitive, you get thoughts, and these thoughts are spiritual in nature, and they derive from universal laws of what you put out is what you get back. I want you to think about this for a moment and be hopeful in this time of turmoil or chaos. These things, this crisis, this pandemic is by design, it's purposeful. But I want us to be hopeful. I want us to be positive. There's always two sides to everything. Remember that. That's a universal law. That's an affirmative. Let's look at it like this. Folk have been talking for decades about this government and how unfair it has been to the common working man, and how the wealth keep getting wealthier and the poor keep getting poor, and the working class work to keep the system running. Well, by nature, by default, nature has stepped in and heard the public and heard the globe speak, the moral majority. And it has now come to a point where the stock market has crashed. There is a shortage of food, infrastructure is falling apart, relationships are torn between the U.S. and other countries. Internally, we are a nation that is facing a strong pull in two different directions. But guess what? There's something good about that. I'm hopeful, and I believe the universe never lies. What that you put out in the universe is what you get back. This is the time where we should believe in what we've always been saying, that there should be a national boycott. Well, we were forced into it by nature. We're forced to stay home. And that force to stay home should tell us something about us as humans with some humanity, that we should not always have to be running and hustling and bustling and for the wealthy to continue to stay rich. And we buy into that system to the point of now where, we have to be forced to do it. Well, now that you're forced to do it, it answers two calls. One call is the national boycott. It's already happened naturally. The stock market's crashing. Folk are worried, big businesses worried about being bailed out. You see how spoiled they are? And working class people can't go to work. Might not have money in the next 30 days. But take advantage of the opportune time to listen and read and educate yourself and join with your children and explain to them that they will get through this. But don't get paranoid. I'm telling you, don't go paranoia, because that's what wealthy people do. They want to spew all this paranoia and unclaimed facts and don't know nothing all over the media. I suggest you turn the media off, and only if you're an astute critical thinker that you turn it on, because you'll be able to discern bullshit between fact. If you're not able to do that, then you turn off the television and you wait for someone else, or you go find another mode or medium to educate yourself. But don't allow yourself to be manipulated as we have been for 200 years, particularly blacks being the consumers of this nation. We are one-class people. We're POWs, prisoners of war. Our ancestors were brought here, and all we do is spend for this country. We spend the dollars. We make them rich by spending. We're consumer-based culture, and we need to remove ourselves from that label. And we need to take black out of our vocabulary and find your lineage, find your heritage, find your land, find your ancestry, and start claiming your land, your name to your land. It's already bad enough that we gave Social Security numbers and birth certificates, and now we're part of their corporation. But guess what? The good thing is, these motherfuckers are finally feeling it. The stock market is crashing. People are not shopping. They're not going to have money to shop. And guess what? There's a natural fucking boycott. When they all talk about, oh, we don't have money to spend with this or spend with that. We don't have money for social umbrellas like universal health care or college tuition or education or science or research. They don't have money for it. This is what they always claimed. But now they really find out that they needed all of that. Because they're not even equipped to handle. They're shutting down hospitals all over the place. Now they're realizing that, why the fuck was we shutting down hospitals? Because they were shutting down hospitals that had unions. People who fought for solidarity and equality and fair pay. They shut them down. Only got university hospitals open now. They don't have unions. Most of them. But guess what? We don't have the capacity to deal with the pandemic because they were using money for their own egos. And now that they're affected, they're pulling their money out of the stock market. It's funny. It's funny. But now they want to try to create money through the Reserve Bank chairman so we can just print some money. It's going to be printing money to give you a check, so that you can still spend. We shut down the economy, y'all. We did it. We did this shit. We did it. We waited, but we did it passively, aggressively, but it happened by Mother Nature. So let them feel it. You stay home. You work together with your neighbors and you do universal precautions and understand what it means and how to kill the virus before it actually gets to you. I can send you some information on that you could do in your own home, and to go out and still enjoy the fresh air and do that. And you know what? Don't worry. Let them pay you $1,000. Let them bail a small business and like myself out. It's about time that the tide has turned and that the karma has come to reverse this system of inequality. See, they thought it could never happen to them, only us. And in the midst of them being ignorant and avoiding and disparate about everything, they've only hurt themselves. They want to put us in a panic behind it, but we need to remain calm and let those fucking fools panic their asses off. Because if we're not spending, they're not earning. And when they're not earning, they're just like us. But see, they'll be panicking because they have a lot more to lose. See, 2 candles in the room will light a room, but 1,000 candles will brighten the room. So 2 candles ain't going to hurt nothing amongst 1,000,000 candles. You're not going to notice it. But when all those candles are gone and 2 candles are remaining, you notice the darkness taking place. Who's it affecting? And it's affecting their pockets right now by the trillions of dollars. Now, they're either going to rush to try to find a cure so that we can get the markets back to rolling, get people back to work. But hopefully in the past, the people won't panic and end up dying, because this is serious business. And when it comes to genocide and reducing the population, you want to keep that in mind, that part and parcel of this could be some of what I've been thinking about biological warfare, and how you can use biology and viruses to take out large sums of people throughout the world, like the Spanish flu or things like that, to reduce population. And we also know that white folk, Europeans, this white nationalism movement is pushing this issue that they know that in 2030 they're going to be, if they're already a minority now, but they're going to be even more of a minority going forward with this Con Air virus. I mean, there are people in Italy that have been knocked out, I mean, by thousands. And wealthy people have been feeling it as well, because they have a more aggressive, freewheeling personality. They travel, they go exotic places, where people with not much money tend to stay pretty much local. And they may take a trip once in a while, but stay off the cruise ships. They're walking canisters of viruses. I would never go on a cruise. I've never been on one. So I want you to seriously think about thinking positive. You know you can, if you go out into the environment, the virus is an airborne virus, and it is breathed in through your breathing, your nasals and your throat, but it has an incubation period. So what you can do, it cannot last above 96 degrees Celsius. So what you do is you go home and you boil some water with lemon peel or lemon juice and onions or whatever and salt, and you boil that water and you put your head over it with a towel for about 15 minutes, and that heat will kill the virus in your nostrils and it will not get to your lungs. If you do that every time you go out and come back home, along with other universal precautions, you should be fine each day. Or when you get in your car, before you get in, turn the car on, let the heat run. Don't sit in the car with the heat. Let it run for a while and let it warm up. Then get in your car and keep that heat on so you're breathing warm air up your nose. Put it on high if you have to. That kills the virus. It cannot live in a certain temperature. So read up on the viruses, read up on the history of viruses, and educate yourself about the demographics of the virus, the lifespan of a virus, how different varying viruses can be spread. And you can inform yourself, because you can't wait on this government. You see, they are a failing government and they're failing the people, so you have to be smart. And I'm advising you today to take this with an open mind and be happy that something good has come out of this, because once we get past this, they will find a inoculation for this virus. And when they do, remember that they have lost so much. They are now forced to listen to Bernie Sanders, not Biden, because Biden's part of the same old corrupt system. He wants to continue with the same old political system. Bernie is saying that we need a social umbrella so in case pandemics like this happen again, we don't have to worry about where the money's going to come from. When you pay your taxes, they will already be there for you. Now they got to scrounge around and make money. Probably had no value for you to spend, so that they can feel happy with their egos that the market isn't a state of depression, which we are already in. We're in a depression. We're in the first depression of this century. And last century it was in the early 20s or late 20s. It was beginning in the early 20s, right after World War I. So if you want to equate this as a biological warfare and the pandemic set in for depression, I want you to think positive and say we'll get through this as well, and that the rich need to feel the pressure, because after this there should be a new system. And I hope that all of you will get out and vote. This was probably a strategy to try to hold people back from voting. These egotistical maniacs try everything. And this might be a conspiracy theory, but it's worth thinking about. Why all of a sudden during the primaries they want to have this pandemic? And so make fearful people, small-minded people, be fearful and not come out to vote. So it's just something for you to think about. But I want you to be powerful in your thinking, be influential in your relationships, and love one another and take care of one another. Okay? And please like below and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to state them. Have a good day.